I went through a couple of recent games of yours. Two that are, I think, thematically closely linked. Oh, what's that? Do you remember the games?
Well, other than that one game that we were just talking about before the stream started, I don't think there were any good games. I've been playing pretty poorly. I've been playing mostly Blitz, um, because I've been doing so much Woodpecker. So, um, but yeah, other than that game from last night, I don't really remember the other games off the top of my head.
Um, oh, okay, right. Yeah, you're going to recognize them
Okay.
most likely because they're very recent. Uh,
Okay.
you played them after our last lesson, so
Okay. I'll
yeah,
probably
this
remember.
guy's name. Yeah, once we see them, I think you're going to remember. You played this one against Swindler 007. The guy actually got to pull off a swindle in this game. Uh, so he honored his nickname. Knight f3, d6, d4, c takes, d4, your usual knight off. You're
I was
usually very comfortable with. And
I was going to say Bishop E2 because I kind of remember. I think one of the only Nidorfs I played recently was when White played Bishop E2, which is it's kind of a sideline. It's not that fantastic, but it's quite solid at the same time, and it offers different opportunities for White um, than most of the main lines. So I still have to tread carefully with it.
yeah, yeah, it's a very positional line. Karpov used to play like this, I think, and he kind of made this fashionable for a time. And of course, it's not the scariest thing in the world. And White's strategy long term is to take control of d5, obviously, because he's obviously not going for an attack here or anything like it. Um,
Oh, so sorry. I
and you
hope
wanted, yeah,
I hope this isn't the game where I prematurely play d5. I hope that's not this
this is the
game.
game where you
Oh
prematurely.
no 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 no.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I remember I
d5.
remember after the I remember when I was playing it. First of all, I'm like, can I take advantage of d5 now because of Bishop e2? And I wasn't sure about it, and I think on this game I was a little bit lazy. I didn't like fully calculate things. I was kind of just trying to go off of memory. But I remember when I analyzed it with my repertoire after the game. No, this isn't when you play d5, and I think I just castle here. I think that's my repertoire move, or just any pretty much any move like b5 or knight bd7 would probably be okay as well. And I came to the conclusion that play like I know that d5 is such a it's a recurring theme in the Nidorf, but playing it now I think it's the wrong thing to do because white is fully developed and castled, and black still hasn't developed its knight, and black's king is still in the center. So um, yeah, I think it's premature here.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. You're not well developed enough to get away with playing d5. If only we could play d5 so early in the Sicilian and just be done with our opening problems. But yeah, you're still lagging behind development. You're yet to castle. So yeah, d5 opens up the game, and he could take advantage of it. Of course, he has to play accurately, otherwise. Um, Otherwise, you're going to be more than okay because this is structurally desirable, of course. You'll really like to get rid of his central pawn. You'll be the one in charge in the center, but yeah, it's just too soon. You're still to play knight c6 and castle, and yeah, it's dangerous. Yeah, normally you castle or you go knight bd7. We went through some of these before, I think, because you face some trouble against this variation at some point, where you used to play knight c5 too quickly, and we saw that there are ideas with knight b6 putting d5 under control. So yeah, castle and knight b7 are the most solid options. b5 is another typical Sicilian move. Yet you have to be careful about b5. I'm not sure if it's possible to play it in this exact position, if it's not a bit risky. I'm quite sure it's not the main move for black.
Yeah, it still seems premature. I know that in some lines it's a mistake to play b5 here because um, if you do it too early, sometimes white can play knight d5, and then after you take queen d5 and the rook gets trapped. But here I don't think.
Oh,
Yeah. So that's a trap in the Najdorf. But here I think we'd still be okay here because we have the bishop
yeah, and
on e6.
sometimes, yeah, but sometimes in the Sicilian there's another problem with b5 when white is ready to meet it with a4, which I'm not so sure it's the case here, but still this always has to be considered. When you're going to play b5, you should think about a4, and if white isn't getting just too much activity on the queen side. For example, b takes a4 is almost always undesirable. After rook takes, just take a look at those pieces
Yeah.
raging against your poor queen side. It's just too much. Normally, you have to answer a4 with b4. After 95, you really have to consider carefully if your queen side is just not too exposed. Here, your pawn on b4 is rather weak. If you have to go a5, then b5 is usually a big problem. I'm not sure I like this. Well, you have to take on d5 now because bishop b6 is a threat. And yeah, the opening of the queen side, especially at an early stage, is risky for black.
I know.
So I'm not sure b5 is the move. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, yeah, that's why I was pretty angry at myself because, um, like I studied the Najdorf so much. I was angry that I played d5 here, because it's just that it's just that I don't face bishop e2 so often, so sometimes I can get confused. But yeah, it was premature. Like castling just makes so much more sense here.
Yeah, and there's kind of a fight for the d5 square. I mean, all white strategy revolves around getting good control of d5. So queen d3, knight d2, knight c4. You see all those kind of maneuvers. And black usually fights for d4, d5 too with knight b7, and at a suitable moment knight b6. So yeah, it was premature to play d5 here. Uh, you can you can think about it in these terms. You're still going to have to put up a fight for d5, but other than that, White kind of resigned one of his main weapons against the knight, that is launching a kingside attack. He's clearly not going for that, and that's a relief because the attack is it's probably the toughest test for any Sicilian. So you don't mind positional maneuvering game around d5. Um, so yeah, there's really no hurry to play d5. It's a shame you can't really get away with it because it would be nice, but yeah, it's premature as you said. Bishop, he played bishop f3 right away, which looks strange. I mean, he's voluntarily giving up his dark square bishop. Uh, this still has to be punished by white, and I'm not sure it's that simple either. What would you play here?
Um, actually, I'm actually I'm thinking of actually just trading immediately, um, because Black's king still is in the center, so I'm just considering, yeah, knight takes. Um, let's say bishop takes. So knight takes, bishop takes d5. And then I'm not 100% sure. Then maybe possibly c4. And if bishop goes back to e6, well, I think white is already like getting a pretty good position there. He's controlling more of the light squares in the center. He has the opportunity of trading queens and then putting a rook on d1. So yeah, I think I would definitely consider knight takes here.
Yeah, and it's probably best. You don't want to pass with the bishop in e3. It was a bad decision by your opponent. And here you're speeding up your pieces actually. After bishop takes, well, c4 has, it's clearly the move to analyze. Otherwise, he's just playing castles, and black is probably getting all he wants. Um, Bishop f3 seems low. I think he has e4. Well, you have e4 actually. He has to move the bishop, and then you cast again, so no problem. So yeah, you really need
Yeah,
to make something out of.
and I was thinking if bishop f3 here, I thought maybe black can even just take, and then maybe even just knight c6, and might be okay there.
Yeah, you're castling in time. I don't see how white is creating any new threats. So yeah, it looks good. Yeah, c4 is clearly um, the most threatening move. Yeah, as you said, he has to go back to c6 or e6, and then you trade queens, and you're clearly ahead in development, and he's still going to have to solve some problems here. Yeah, this is a position that you can play rather intuitively as white, and you don't need to exhaust yourself calculating variations because, well, c4 is clearly the move to make. I mean, all the other ones just uh, kind of let black off the hook. But after c4, bishop e6, as you said, uh, yeah, now we can take and then play knight c5. And in all likelihood, white is going to get the bishop pair. That would be huge. Bishop pair and a nice advantage in development would be great. Uh, your opponent, well, he played bishop f3 right away, and you get away with knight takes e3, knight c6. And now, what do you think about the position? If things change?
Yeah, I mean, I felt pretty good here. I mean, now black has the bishop pair. Um, I thought here, I kind of felt that black had a slight advantage. If I had to guess, like maybe like 50 center pawns for black, thereabouts. The open F file could possibly create some ideas for white, but I think once black castles, um, with with the bishop pair and the isolated pawn that white has, I thought black was in pretty good shape here.
Yeah, you're right about that bishop pair. If you consolidate and you keep the bishop pair, then white is going to be in trouble. Now even your structure is superior. I mean, this pawn e3 is not a great thing. And yeah, the f file is not such a big concern. And it's hard to imagine how white is going to put additional pressure on f7, especially with this great bishop on e6. Opponent just took on c6. I guess he wanted to kind of ruin your structure too, but now it's the two bishops. Now it's the two bishops versus the knights. And how do you approach this as white now? Because there's a risk of just getting a position where the bishops are going to be superior and the bishop on e7, the dark square bishop in the long run. How do you proceed as white here? Seeing that the material imbalance of bishops, of pair of bishops is your concern as white here. What pieces would you trade if possible?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking for a way to trade light squared bishop, so I was looking at bishop g4, but then I was looking at it if queen takes d1, and I don't know, because we're kind of getting into an endgame there. It didn't really seem like we're achieving much there.
You have to take back with the bishop.
Yeah. So I was looking for ways to trade the light squared bishop, but I couldn't find anything yet. I was also I gave a brief thought to, it's I don't really like it though, but e4, just putting a bit of pressure on the d5 square again. But I don't like what that does to our light squared bishop. Yeah, I don't really have that much of an idea here. I also looked at queen e2 just to keep the queens on and put a rook on d1. Since again black has not castled yet, so we might be able to control the d file before black can. So I was considering queen e2, and then if black castles, then we can play like rook a d1, something along those lines.
Yeah, that also looks good. I like queen e2, rook a d1. Yeah, your idea of taking d5 into control makes sense. I mean, this is a square that white still aspires to dominate, and the play for white is on the light square. That's clear. So I also like your idea that you wouldn't mind as white it's changing the light square bishops. Well, if you manage to exchange those bishops, then d5 is going to be a very nice place for a knight, for example. So yeah, queen e2 followed by rook a d1, knight d5 makes sense. I guess white should be sort of okay here. I mean, it's obvious that he doesn't have the advantage anymore, but in the long run, he has to think of what pieces he's going to leave on the board. So he has to start thinking about trades, because if you consolidate those bishops in the long run, it's going to be very bad for him. Another approach is just going for bishop d5. This is another way of trying to trade the bishop. which I'm
really, really in your
really
face.
fond of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of forces it.
Yeah.
I don't see how he's going to,
I
how
didn't.
Black can.
Yeah, I didn't even consider that. It's
Yeah, the attractive thing is that there's no way of avoiding the
yeah,
exchange. So,
yeah,
uh, and at least he has good control of the light square. So I would probably go that way. Um, you might even castle here, but I'm not sure about this double bounce on the e file. Even
yeah,
though you managed to control some important squares, e4 is a big problem for you. If black had already, if white, I'm sorry, had already played e4, then I would be glad if white took, so I get
yeah,
e5 under control.
and
But now he has a nice outpost on e4.
yeah, and I think it would be a little difficult for black to defend
Play
to
you castle bishop.
for black to defend the e6 square there.
Yeah, queen g4 is coming, and yeah, if white had already played this e4, then okay, but now he has e4 for his knight, and it's a huge knight. So yeah, I'm uh, not even from a structural point of view, I'm happy with this.
Hmm.
So yeah, bishop d5 is probably okay, and at least I guess this is sort of white hasn't played two now. Uh, yeah, this should be the way to go. He shouldn't just stand there and wait for you to consolidate the bishop pair. That's kind of a crucial concept in the opening. Sometimes you even kind of go out of your way to get the bishop pair.
Hmm.
Um, that's kind of accidentally what happened here because you're down in development. Um, but if you manage here to just finish your development uh, easily and comfortably, and he doesn't get to trade any of the two bishops, then he's going to face a tough defense. Well, in this particular case, he just took on his seats, which is just too much. I mean, these bishops
Yeah,
are,
I couldn't. I was really surprised when he did that.
well, the prospects are just too great.
Yeah,
Yeah, those bishops are just too great. You have a nice central majority now, so everything is kind of going your way. Uh, Rook d2 is funny because the rook, even if you triple up on the d5, there are no entry points. That's one good thing of the bishops.
hmm,
Uh, Structure actually changed for the better because after bishop takes, b takes, you'd really prefer this mostly weak pawns because c6 is a great pawn to take d5 under control. Otherwise, he will still be uh, of playing knight d5, which is sort of an equalizer. Now he doesn't have that resource anymore. Uh, he tripled up, and your bishop on e6 just holds everything on its own. And yeah, I noticed that you weren't trying to calculate too much in this in this game because when you had to defend, you had some trouble here. Up to this point, it's okay. Now you prevent knight c5, rook here, and rook fda. Um, Sort of getting into some trouble now. Rook g. Yeah, here. This is probably an important move. You play bishop f7. Can you think of an easier way to to defend here?
I don't know about easier, but because I think my move was actually the easiest. It took the least amount of brain power, but um, I was the two moves that I was looking at were F5 and G6, but G6 I'm a little bit concerned about possibly knight takes F6, bishop takes F6, and then rook takes F6. So I'm a little bit nervous
Yeah.
about G6, but and F5, but I don't I don't like F5. It seems weakening at the same time, but other than those two moves,
F5 has a big tactical hole, I think. Yeah, there's a problem with F5. Yeah, there's definitely a problem with F5.
it's funny because these positions, it's for me, they're so much harder to defend than to attack. If I was white here, it's like I'd probably see the way to defend from white's point of view, even. Yeah. So if F5 instead, like, I'm not sure. Like I was looking at knight G5, but it didn't. Like it seemed that black could still hold on there. I think.
Yeah, you can take, and yeah, you're giving one of the bishops, but still your bishop on e6 is vastly superior to that poor knight on b3. Yeah, it looks good for you. F5 still loosens up the position a bit. What other move creates a direct threat for white?
I mean, um, yeah, I'm not seeing it. I mean, it seems weakening to me. F5, I like. It seems weakening, but I don't exactly see it. I mean, yeah. I mean,
The pin on the G is a problem in general here. Knight takes f6 is a threat now, and if you play f5, then white can also take advantage of the pin. I think.
take advantage of the pin. Oh, yeah. So that
Yeah,
if we play
move that.
if F5 knight F6 anyways and bishop takes, say I didn't. Oh,
No, and then yeah,
bishop takes,
there
then rook
you.
takes, then rook takes. So oh no, because there's a pawn on F5.
Yeah, you still have that.
So yeah, so if F5 was played instead, um, yeah, if knight F6, just bishop takes, and I don't see how that I don't see how that's
It's a
good.
much less dramatic move. Yeah, after f5, it's actually very direct. It's queen h6. And now,
So if bishop
two problems
F8,
there.
bishop F8, and then the bishop hangs.
Bishop
Uh,
f8.
oh, that's
Yeah,
a woodpecker
that's a
puzzle,
double
man.
threat.
Yeah,
This
that's definitely a
one
hard.
could appear there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those moves that I feel is a little difficult. It's harder to find as a defender as if you were an attacker. So if we flip the board and I'm white, I'm much more likely to find this queen h6 move. But as black defending, I don't consider those moves because they look so weird, you know.
Yeah, and you're as white, you're just trying to finish the guy off, so you're going to consider every
Mm,
possible move that makes a threat, and that's true. And that's how it's a really it's a problem of psychology of the defense. Uh, as a general attitude towards defense, it's important to try and refute your own play. Always try to reinforce your opponent's play and look for the most threatening moves. That's the only way of putting up a tough defense. Otherwise, it's just so easy to overlook something
mm.
like queen h6, for example, here. Well, this is a complete disaster. G6, rook takes, h takes, queen takes. This looks bad. What happens if king h8?
I think you might have time to do a rook lift of rook f3. That's my initial instinct. I don't know how black would have time to stop that, so I would just go. I think rook f3. Ah, okay, forget that. Um, but that's my okay. That was my instinctual move. Okay,
The
I
bishop is still hanging.
yeah.
It would be great to take it with check.
Okay, okay. Um, yeah. So then we bounce off the wall. So we go queen h. This is totally a woodpecker puzzle, man. Okay, yeah. So you go queen h6 and then you grab it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just too much. Even though black is still alive and it's still not checkmate, of course, you just got so many pounds and this knight is eight. So at the very least, white is not going to lose this. Most likely it's winning. Uh, well, actually, you're picking up both pawns because if you go to dark square, then queen e takes e5 check, and then the other one falls, and the king is
Mm.
completely stripped from his of his pawn cover. So yeah, queen h6 seems powerful. Uh, you have many problems with the pin on the g7 pawn. Knight takes f6 is a threat now. Queen h6 is also something to consider.
Oh,
You played bishop f7, which is not, yeah.
I was just gonna say, yeah, we could. I guess we could possibly consider going king h8, just sidestepping out of that pin.
Yeah, excellent. I think this is uh, the best and especially easiest move to defend everything. I mean, if you look at the position, it's kind of logical that black gets to defend. All your pieces are very well coordinated. Both bishops can take part in the defense of your king side. Uh, but still, it's important to anticipate what your opponent is doing because here, for example, after 94, f3, you already know that rook g3 is coming. Uh, so this is a good time to try and well um, think about how you're going to defend right now. Uh, it's important to anticipate what your defensive resources are going to be here because uh, the threats could be dangerous. Rook fda,
Yeah.
I think it's perfectly fine. You can get away with it, but it's important to see how because otherwise, white attack
Mm-hmm.
could be threatened. So many pieces are taking part in the attack. But yeah, king h8, and I don't see how he's going to reinforce his attacking prospects here. No rook h3. This bishop is huge. Um, Once you deactivated all the knight takes f6, queen h6, I really don't know what's his plan. now you're going to follow a5, a4, and it's your turn to threaten a breakthrough. Also, bishop c4 might, and he has to make something passive.
Do you think white maybe have
yeah, so here I guess you're stopping everything.
Do you think white may have an idea of going this route here, bringing in the other knight to attack? I know it's a lot of moves.
yeah, yeah, it's long. It's too long. I guess queen takes b2 should be strong enough. After knight f3, I think rook d1. Your counterattack is real quick.
Okay.
He also has some trouble there. Rank is also a problem. So anytime he leaves control of d5, rook d1 is of d1. I'm sorry, rook d1 is a good move. So knight here, yeah, you can start picking up all the pawns on the queen side. More than the pawns, there's the fact that your queen is also joining the defense. So it's easier this way, I guess. You're even in time to take on c2. I don't think he gets anywhere like this, but rook d1 is the should be the strongest, I guess. So yeah, that's one thing. He can't reinforce his attack by bringing the knight that is completely out of play here on b3 because it's just too far away. Yeah, king h8, I guess, just trumped all his attacking attempts. You played bishop f7, and your opponent didn't play the best move here either, but how do you think he can create at least some problems? I'm not convinced that he can actually win or anything like it, but
well,
I think there's a yeah. I'm sorry, he played queen h6. That was the game.
okay. I mean, the first thing that I was looking at was, knight takes f6, bishop takes f6, and then the problem is we can't take rook takes f6 because our queen is still under attack. So
And the first rank.
oh, yeah, that's what. So I was looking at keeping the checks going. So let's look at knight takes f6, bishop takes f6, rook takes g7, king takes g7, and white's got no pieces left. He still has.
Yeah, or yeah.
Okay,
Or
so
bishop takes, or
yeah, he only has the queen and the rook there. He's got a rook on f1 and the queen. I don't think that's going to work. What if we take on g7 right away? King takes. Oh no, that doesn't quite work. I was looking at queen g4, but the rook is defended.
Still queen g4 is I have to admit, because how are you going to defend here? Bishop g6 is probably the only move because we
Sorry, what?
really don't want to
Bishop
take
g6.
g6.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably the only move. We really don't want to go g6 here, even though it's not a threat to take on f6 because of the checkmate on the first rank.
Yeah. I was going to say possibly
Say we
g6.
play
Yeah.
g6 and now what do you think white can do?
I guess he could just take it anyways. He could take on f6. Oh wait, is it still mate? No. So what about rook? Rook takes f6. Aha, reverse it.
We go the other way,
Yeah.
but rook d1 is still a problem.
Oh, what? Yes. I was looking at it. Almost works. You can almost take on d7 here. um, almost works. Let me see.
Maybe white can't take right now, but that doesn't mean that G6 is not a concession. It's a big
Yeah,
concession.
I'm looking even just at
You're,
h4 here, h4, h5.
yeah, that's probably this is the move. Um, I'm not saying that black is lost or anything like it. Most likely you can defend by playing king g7, but it got a bit more complicated. The position is more open for your king. And yeah, it's not the same. King h8 was by far the easiest. Now you have to deal with h5, I don't know, rook h3.
Mm.
So yeah, it's
Mm.
just not the same as
Yeah.
it used to be.
Plus now white created Luft for its king.
Yeah, so now he's really threatening to take on f6. So yeah, I guess king g7 is something that you have to play. You can also consider c5 now, so that the queen defends f6 too.
Mm.
But still, the king is a bit more open, and I guess white has to go for this. Uh, he's always he's always inferior, but you really have to pay attention to how you're going to defend, because there are tactical threats. Well, as we saw, f5, for example, lost to queen h6. So there are some things that need to be calculated here. It's better to prevent everything as when we still can. I mean, I don't know if you consider what you were going to play before you played rook fd8. Here, when you played rook fd8, you already saw that you were going to play bishop f7.
No, no. It just seemed like um, you know, kind of counterattacking down the center. There wasn't much more to it than that.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually, this is a good moment to stop and think about how you're going to respond to rook fd8, because rook fd8, rook g3, because rook g3 is coming anyway. So it's a good spot to try and calculate how you're going to neutralize um, his offensive, especially since you know that if you stop his attack, he's just completely lost. He's probably his pieces are probably going to be out of place, and then you're going to counterattack on the queen side, and that's probably going to be it. So yeah, at this point, bishop f7 kind of sits, and now you played well, because bishop g6 just stops everything, and now he's hopeless. I mean, rook d1 is coming. Queen h6 wasn't the best move. Queen h4, f5. Yeah, now he's in deep trouble. But now you played h6,
Yeah,
which was a mistake.
I vaguely remember looking at this with the computer, and I think it wanted something very just much simpler. I'm trying to remember what it was. I think actually, if I remember correctly, computer didn't want to do anything here. I think like there was no need to defend here. The pin itself like is is dangerous enough, and I think we could just proceed proceed normally. Like maybe we can pretty much do anything here. I think maybe I don't know. We could push the pawns like the a pawn or the or put a rook on d1.
Yeah, there are many ways. h6 is in the air. It's going to be there. So yeah, rook d1, for example, looks good. If queen c4 check, as in the game, you just
Yeah,
go
that's
to
what I missed.
h8.
That's what I missed it again. Yeah,
There's
I missed
nothing.
queen c4 both times. Yeah.
Yeah, still now it does nothing. I mean, you go to a check, and I don't see how White is improving there. You also have him kind of tied down because of the threat of taking on F1, and the first rank is still a problem for him. Um, but yeah, there are many ways. You really don't have to touch anything on the king side because you're completely well defended. I like Queen B5 here.
Yeah,
Uh,
I remember now.
it's a modest approach, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I totally remember this now. This was kind of the key position in the whole game because this is where things. Well, there was a d5 earlier, but this was even bigger, I think, because I simply missed Queen c4. So I think any move here that prevents Queen c4 is good. So that yeah, it's, Queen b5 as you said, and I think there were other moves that prevented that. I'm trying to remember what they were. I'm wondering if possibly like even e4.
Yeah, E4, as you said, looks cool. Now even this rook is out of place. There's no going back to F. So rook d1 looks more threatening than ever. Yeah, still we have to count on 94, but it doesn't look like he's going to get away with that. H6, and he's losing material. So yeah, E4 also could be the way of stopping this. Yeah, you miss this. It's easy to miss because it's to overlook. Even though this is still not losing, I guess. You just went the wrong way. You went
Yeah,
to
yeah,
F8.
yeah. This was I yeah.
Here you kind of panicked, I guess.
I don't know. I don't know why. You know what it.
Yeah, after King H8,
Oh yeah, yeah. So I remember. I mean, obviously, I only have two moves here, and I remember looking. I looked first at King H8, and then I saw Knight C7, and then I just dismissed it immediately.
oh, because of knight f7, bishop takes, queen takes, bishop f6, for example. Yeah, you're okay there. You seem to be okay here.
Yeah, yeah,
Bishop
I know, but
takes, queen
well, I mean,
takes, bishop
I simply
somewhere. Oh,
missed.
bishop. That,
Yeah, I simply missed the fork when I played King F8. I missed that he had.
that the rook could defend.
Well, no, I missed Knight E6. Like there wasn't more to it than that.
Oh,
Yeah, I just simply missed
oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
I just completely did not see that.
Yeah. It's for it's funny. Uh, yeah, now probably the most testing should be 96, but it doesn't look like he's surviving this. I don't think so, at least. What would you play here as black?
Well, my instinct
It
is
might still
Bishop
be a bit
F7.
tricky, but bishop f7.
Yeah,
Rook takes g7.
yeah. I can't we can still just take the knight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. He still has some trouble on the first rank. So yeah, this is not really threatening at all for you. Queen takes, king takes, and yeah, the king can defend himself. I guess no rook takes f5 because of rook d1 check. So uh, yeah, I guess
I don't know
this
anything.
shouldn't
I
be
think
that hard
like
to defend. Still, you have
Bishop B5 even.
bishop
No,
g5,
oh
queen takes
G5.
c5 check, and
Um,
yeah, I'm just trying to avoid a perpetual or anything
mm,
like it. And there's nothing because you play c5 and bring the queen to the defense. This might be easiest because after queen takes c5, you have it's only an illusion. I mean, as long as you have all the dark squares covered, there are no checks, and now you can bring the queen. So yeah, not enough firepower to finish black off. So yeah, you were still fine after king h8. I mean, it got a little bit more complicated, but nothing more than that. It's still defensive. I mean, all your pieces are around your king. It's impossible that it's so easy unless there's a concrete tactic that makes you lose on the spot. It's hard to believe that white can get away with an attack here. King f8, yeah, well, now things uh, a bit. Usually, if you can repeat, this is an important concept. If you can repeat positions, but slightly over what you played, as white could do here, because we have the same position, but we took the pawn on g7, you should do it. You don't know if it's not going to come in handy. White should have just repeated moves, but taking g7 on the process. Um, but it's still more than enough. Knight takes, king takes, rook takes, bishop f6. Well, now it's just a whole rook, and the game went to him. But yeah, he swindled you.
Yeah, and look,
Really swindled you because you were.
yeah, look at the time. Look at the time left in this game. He's down to a minute here. That's why I kept playing.
Yeah, 3 minutes and 1 minute.
Yeah, that's why. That's the only reason I kept playing. I thought, maybe there's a chance.
Yeah, and when he. Yeah, he could still go wrong because he was so close to running out of time.
Yeah, and there was no increment here.
Let's go to the other one. Yeah, it was 30-0. I saw that. It's now I feel strange playing without increment. It's just uncomfortable. I always get low on time, and I always bank on the extra time given by the increment. So
Yeah.
when I play to finish now, it feels strange.
Yeah. I mean, I used to play 15 plus 15, and that's what I prefer. But a couple months ago, Lichess changed the front page for the classical to be 30-0. They removed the 15 plus 15. That's why I play 30-0 now. You can still do a custom game, 15 and 15, but at my rating and a custom classical game, sometimes I might have to wait like 15 minutes to get a game. Yeah, so that's why I play 30-0, because I only have to wait like a minute or two.
Yeah, totally not worth it. Yeah, it's hard getting a game in such time controls. Are there many people playing 30 minute games?
Yeah. I mean, generally I have to wait maybe about, on average, I would say about 45 seconds, and then I can get a game.
Oh, well, there are many offers then.
Yeah.
Wanted to go through this other game. You were on the other side of the pair of bishops. He played the Arcangel.
Oh, I think, is this a game where he falls for the knight e5 trap, and I get to play bishop d5? Is that this game?
No. Here you traded on e5 immediately. I think a4 is the move here. Normally, unless you're getting something very concrete, for example, if you win a pawn, you don't want to release the tension. In the Italian and in the Rui Lopez, I mean, this typical center in the Spanish, you don't want to go d takes c5. Normally, there's a war between white and black, and the thing is, who is going to give up and take first? If you take on e5, you better have a great reason to do it. Otherwise, you're just resigning your central advantage, your slight space advantage. But well, it's an important leverage for white. if you play d takes c5 and you get nothing out of it, normally you're solving black problems.
Okay.
I think a4 opening another front is the right move here, or at least it's the most theoretical one. But yeah, d takes c5. If you're not winning anything out of this, then probably it's just not the move. He took with a knight, which is interesting, I guess, but
I think he might want
he
to
could still
play
take with the pawn. But
c5, c4, maybe his idea.
yeah, and in fact, I think he did it. Even though when you play c5, you have to be careful that bishop e3 just doesn't let your bishop in a strange position there. You play knight takes here while bishop g4 is coming and his pieces are active, so this kind of makes sense. What do you make of this? What do you think of the position after all these changes?
Well, I mean, I was hesitant, obviously, to trade queens. I know that that immediately goes to an end game, and it doesn't really matter that much that black has given up castling rights because he's just going to go to e7, and so I felt that it was roughly equal, but I know that black can kind of get these long diagonals of the bishops, like bishop g7 or bishop b7 is coming, and white also is slightly awkward in what he's going to do with the dark squared bishop. So overall, I thought it was roughly equal, but e4 is also is an annoying pawn to have to defend because obviously we can't play f3 anytime soon, and I don't really want to play rook e1 to have the rook just babysit that pawn. So black looks ugly, but white is actually in some white might actually be more awkward here because it's kind of hard to find moves for white.
Yeah, his pieces are actually very well coordinated, and that's a problem for you. Once he plays bishop b7, two bishops on both diagonals. As you said, it's not a huge problem that his king is still in the center because king e7, and actually, if we go to an endgame, the king might come in handy, being closer to the center. And as you said, it's kind of awkward. What are we going to do with this bishop? You played bishop g5 right away. Well, you indirectly defend e4, but the problem is that you're also putting your bishop in a position to be exchanged.
Yeah,
Um,
I didn't know what to do here. I know that h6 g5 were very likely to happen. But yeah, I had. I mean, the other move that I think I was considering here was a4. Again, like you kind of mentioned it earlier, but it's a very thematic move in the Ruy Lopez. But the reason I didn't play a4, well, first of all, e4 is still hanging, but another reason I didn't play a4 is I just felt really awkward not developing the knight and bishop. I felt that I had to develop my pieces here.
Yeah, I think your heart was in the right place. Yeah, you're not in time. E4 is hanging, and it looks like it's the problem after bishop b7, for example. Now I don't know what you're going to do with that. But 92 was an alternative, not so much to defend the pawn e4, but to create some counterplay against e5. If you're going to catch up development, you might as well play 92 f3, threatening e5, and create your own counterplay. Especially since black is probably not so thrilled about opening up the center, even though he's ahead in development. Especially since his bishop is still on c1. His king is also in the center, so he's not a fan of opening the a file. So this might be an alternative way of speeding up development and bring your pieces to center maybe. Um, it looks like an alternative. Bishop g5 is not terrible, but uh, it's a commitment. I mean, if you are going to give up the bishop on f6, then you have to know that you're probably going to face a very tough endgame. I mean, this bishop is going to be the king of the board after your dark square bishop disappears. And it's kind of what happened. You play king e7, knight d2. All of this is pretty natural. And now knight f3. Maybe you could employ this idea quicker and without putting your bishop in this spot. Now h6, and now it's a very critical decision. You chose to take on f6. How do you feel about that now? Was it the right decision?
Well, this is a super annoying position to play as white because black's position is so ugly. But again, it's white is the one with problems here because the coordination is just so awkward. Yeah, I mean, this I was so the problem I had with not taking is it seemed worse to me if I don't take the knight. If we play bishop h4, there's g5 and then or even just immediately there's just bishop takes e4. So I wanted to just remove one of the attackers and then defend e4. I didn't see an alternative.
Yeah, the thing is, if you can get away with keeping your bishop pair, then at least it deserves some attention, because taking on f6, you already know that you're heading towards a very hard position to defend. It's going to be an ugly endgame. That bishop on b6 is contested, and that's a problem. It's actually a clear advantage to black probably. But bishop h4, g5, this has all the makings to be a mess. That might not be such a bad result. It's probably better than just getting the worst part of an endgame. Now, for example, knight takes e4, you get to keep your bishop. Much forced, I guess. All of these moves are rather forced. What do we make of this? What do you think about this position after this kind of forced sequence?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not loving white here, but yeah, maybe this, but still maybe white can hang on here. I mean, it looks pretty aggressive by black for sure. But at least we keep the bishop pair in this regard. But those bishops are really running out of scope pretty quick. I mean, if we have bishop c2, even just f5 right away looks pretty bad for white. I think the best white can hope for is like eventually trading some pieces or pawns, or preferably pieces, and getting the rooks into the game and trying to stagnate the position. But the game definitely seems to be in black's court here.
I think black should be better too, but I don't think this is so easy. The good thing about this is that black is also taking some important risks. And this king here is now kind of permanent problem. It's not so easy to correct that. For example, if you go f5, which is a move that looks desirable, now we can go 95, for example. Well, there are checks everywhere. It's kind of difficult to defend, actually. Um, the fact that this king is still a bit open now that we got to open the e file might create some difficulties for black, at least from a practical point of view. Things could change very quickly here. For instance, f3, bishop c2, rook e1. Um, you have your counterplay. Uh, Probably black is better, and he should be more cautious and just play rook h e8, and then so he has the opportunity of going back to f8 and put the king out of harm's way. But still it's playable for white. I mean, you can go bishop c2, and even though, as you say, the bishops are kind of restricted, especially this one, there should be enough counterplay, and you keep the bishops. Um, Black is facing some risks when pushing all the pawns like that too. The difference with the game is that this is just a relatively easy endgame to handle for black, and you're going to miss that dark squared bishop a lot. um, yeah, now rook 88. Your opponent kind of ran out of steam. Rook h. Now this is sort of routinary move. What do you think black should do to improve his position here?
First of all, I just want to point you to look at the clocks on in this game. My opponent spent 42 seconds total, and I spent 20 minutes.
Blade stole his.
Yeah. Sorry, what was your question?
What do you think black should be doing here to increase his advantage? What's the plan?
Well, I think. Well, hang on, that might not make sense. I mean, black has a more mobile king, the more active king. Um, the first instinct here for me is black would be kind of to trade off pieces, and then push the pawns because again, black's king is more active. So if we got down to just king and pawn endgame, um, black might have. Well, I think black has a tiny advantage there. Um, there's rook takes d1 and then bishop takes, but then I don't quite know the follow up there. Maybe
Important thing.
yeah.
Yeah, this is a long-term advantage, and as long as he keeps both bishops on the board, he's going to be better. He has to avoid something that kind of happened in the game, getting some weakness for free. Otherwise, you could maybe set up a blockade on the light squares, but normally you want to put your pawns in the same color of the opponent's bishop in these positions. I think we saw a game by Steinitz. Yeah, it was a game by Steinitz where he slowly but surely started restricting both minor pieces. And here you should enhance, as black, you should enhance the bishop that your opponent lacks. You have to highlight that white doesn't have the dark squared bishop, so all the pawns should be, if possible, on light squares. And for example, putting a pawn on c4 would be a great achievement.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was
for
I was going to suggest
for
C5 C4 would be quite annoying for white.
Yeah, that's a good idea actually. Your opponent kind of procrastinated a bit, started playing here and there, but yeah, c5 immediately might be a problem because you still have this bishop d5, and you can create counterplay there. But that's something that black can think of preparing. Um,
My dog. My
it
dog
might
barking.
take time, but what?
He broke it. He breaks the tile.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. He wants a company.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, it takes patience, but also he can start winning some space on the other side of the board and pushing your knight back. The important thing is that he has to systematically restrict your pieces and not allow for outposts or a blockade on the light squares. As he manages to prevent that, then he's always going to be on top. C5. Up to this point, I think he played quite well. This A5, I'm not a fan of A5 now. Yeah, it really doesn't look good. Maybe you can think about A4 here. I don't know if right away, but it looks like the way to go because you're making some inroads on the light square. To be careful about giving you counterplay on the light squares, or otherwise you may set up a blockade there, and this bishop can start looking miserable. He really has to be careful about that. I'm not sure that's the case here because we still have to calculate bishop a6, but I guess you can play rook d1, and it's not such a big deal that this pawn falls because it's not really worrying. I guess you're going to get it back, but he should be trying to just space for his pieces. Now c4, for example, would really restrict your bishop, and then he can start his pawns farther away. Maybe g5, h5, always with care of not giving you squares, but he really needs to restrict your pieces, especially putting the pawns on light squares. This a5 already, I think it already presents you with a chance to play a4. So it doesn't look like the most consistent move, this a5. Yeah, it's a wrong concept. I mean, putting the pawns on the same squares as this bishop on the same color, it doesn't make sense. You have to enhance the bishop your opponent lacks. That's the rule Steinitz came up with in his time. I'm going to leave you those games. I know I have them annotated somewhere. So if I haven't already put there in the study, I think it's AlwaysDizzy's lessons. I'm going to look them up and I'm going to put them there.
I see.
Do you think about trying to? Yeah.
I don't see any recent ones. I see a old one, Steinitz Selman, in there.
Yeah, that's a classic, but it's actually two games right there. That's black.
Hmm. I don't think it's in there.
The other one is English Steiner. Yeah.
Yeah, I see Steinitz Selman. It's the only Steinitz
Okay,
game in there.
if you don't have them, I'm going to look them up.
Okay.
Okay. Then I'm going to look them up somewhere. They are must-know games.
Okay.
It's they are they are of those classics you absolutely must know. Do you think about trying to set up a blockade on light squares? What did you think about the way he pushed his pawns here?
You mean after C4? or here?
When he played a5.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I actually was considering a4. I'm pretty sure, but at the same time, it was kind of a toss up. I think between rook d1 and a4. I thought I could play a4 after, but maybe not, because maybe that's a wasted opportunity, because I'm not sure if even a5 could be played immediately or not. But yeah, maybe okay. Yeah, I think I thought I could play the moves interchangeably, but I was looking at a4. I remember that.
Okay, that's important. Realizing that he's not pushing his pawns in the right way. He's restricting his own extra bishop, and that, yeah, doesn't make a lot of sense. C4 is another idea that you might be able to employ. I'm not sure you can do it right now because of bishop a6, and you are in a dangerous diagonal there. But that's another
Bishop.
thing to consider
Oh,
because it
bishop
kind of
a6.
pairs the bishop. Rook d1 looks good
So, but
though.
sorry. But what would our plan be? Like, you're saying c4. How would our plan be to get that back?
Yeah, maybe you don't immediately. Yeah, I don't think you can do it with the king on e2. It's just too dangerous. You can take and play bishop a6, or you can even play bishop a6 right away, and the king is in trouble. From a structural point of view, this might be an idea at some point. But yeah, right now it's not possible as it seems. It is to bury this bishop behind the pawns on dark squares. Uh, it's positionally desirable, but yeah, you're right. We are still not in shape to do it. Rook d1 looks good, along with a4 that needs to be calculated, I guess. Uh, but even though black can take and get to keep the pawn for a while, I'm not sure he gets anything out of it, and his structure is a bit wrecked there. Yeah, that a5 just gives you many opportunities of blocking those pawns on light squares, and that's not the right idea for him. Well, he played c4. Now his heart is in the right place, but uh, yeah, now you play 92, and that kind of gave him an extra opportunity, I guess. What do you think black can play here or should play?
Well, first of all, I'm trying to remember why I played knight d2, because that seems weird. Like, it seems the most natural move here. It seems like I might want to play like a breakthrough on the king side, like b3 or a4. So I'm thinking knight d2. I was probably wanting some reinforcement of um, immediate reinforcement of the king side while simultaneously defending e4, but it might not have been necessary. Okay, no. Okay, yeah, I can kind of see my logic now. I was probably looking at, again, b3 or a4, but if a4, once I retake, then e4 is undefended. So I was probably looking at, yeah, at defending e4, and then maybe even getting f3 in to help defend. But yeah.
That makes sense because you played a 3
Uh,
afterwards. The problem is that now black gets to prevent break on the queen side. A4 needs to be considered because you're fighting to make something. You're fighting for the control of the light squares. It's the square. It's a square color of your bishop, so you really need to set up a blockade on the light squares here. And this break uh, allowed you to do so. You might have been worried about before, probably. Um,
mm, I'm not sure. I can't remember.
In any case, c4 is kind of weak now, and you can start bringing your pieces to, for example, now bishop d1 and bishop e2 is a problem for him. I'm not sure he can be. King e6. Yeah, he can break king e6, bishop d1, king d6, bishop e2, king c5. But in any case, you have solid position now, and you can have him tied down to this pawn on c4, I guess. Yeah, it seems like now you have an object of attack, which you lacked before. Even king e6 here to try and bring the king to c5. I guess you can even play b3, and now you're really fighting for the control of the light squares. It seems like you're successful in setting up a blockade there. You want his pawns on dark squares, and you want control of the light squares somehow. That's why I don't like knight d2, because it allows him to play a4. And now it's just not the same. You're not breaking his pawns up, and well, you can play b3 because of c takes and a3.
Oh, what? C b3 c takes. Sorry, what's the problem with b3? So b3 cb
b3 c takes
and a3. Oh, that's
and
dirty.
a3.
That's annoying. We don't have time for
Looks dangerous.
bishop b1.
You do have time, but your bishop is a slave to this pawn,
Yeah.
which is fairly dangerous. You can't even take this knight out of d2 because of bishop takes d4.
What a oh well okay. So we don't have time for like bishop b1, f3, and then knight b3. That I would like that.
Knight.
Well, I just eventually I would like to play knight b3. So like sorry, like b4. I forgot to say b4, but b4 and then eventually knight b3.
I picture that is going to go this way.
Okay, so b
Pressure on.
annoying.
Yeah, it looks really bad.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if white would hold here.
Yeah, I did not see a3.
You can still try to close everything on the queen side, but
yeah, our bishop is terrible now.
Yeah, that now he really got to restrict your minor pieces. This is what black should aim for. He really needs to restrict your pieces.
I wonder here if we could go knight takes c4.
I don't think the pawns are advanced enough so that it's enough compensation.
Okay.
But you might be able to gear your knight towards d5, which should be an objective. For example, a3. Let's say we go king e6. Well, black also has to start pushing somehow. You have to.
I hate this. I hate
break on the king.
I hate our bishop, man.
Yeah, it's a really poor bishop. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I'm not even sure white can do much about this, because if you go 95, the idea was to sacrifice a pawn and try to draw the end game. But now your pawn on b2 is in big trouble after black keeps threatening to go there. So yeah, this looks like a tough and long defense for white. So a4 should be the way to, because otherwise you still keep your chances to play a4 and break up the pawns, and then you have an object of attack here on c4. Um, your opponent was completely oblivious to this. It doesn't make sense. It only weakens the light squares. This is completely the wrong strategy. He put all his pawns on the squares of the same color of the bishop he owns, and you don't. So he gives you the time and the opportunity to just set up a blockade on the light squares as you please. You play f3, which now is, I guess now it's perfectly fine because you get your knight to e3 and you have a nice blockade on light squares. But I still like the idea of playing a4 because you're destroying his pawns now, especially now that he doesn't have b4 because the pawn on c4 falls. Uh, let's say he goes something like this. And yeah, even though you're not winning the pawn immediately, that pawn is in trouble. I mean, bishop here and bishop here, and it's falling already. So um, yeah, maybe he has to be careful now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe even black has to be careful. Yeah, that's well, f3, bishop b6, b3. I'm not a fan of b3 because he gets an outside pass pawn, and that's something that you should avoid. Maybe a4 again, but b3 he took, and after you took a takes b3, the problem is bishop takes a3, a3, probably a4 could be a problem. A takes b, and now it looks dangerous. I mean, if he gets that passed pawn, he played bishop c6 right away. Bishop d3, a4, b takes. You managed to make a draw here, but this looks awfully dangerous for you. Um, king d2, a3, king c1, bishop e4, bishop c2, bishop e5, just a repetition.
Yeah.
Um, king e7, king b1, and you kind of got to that end, but he might have missed something important along the way. I mean, it's just not likely that it's so easy to defend for you. Yeah, black really needs to activate his king. What would you do here? I think uh, after a3, I'm sorry. Yeah, this should be the position. What plan can you think of for black here?
I'm just giving some thought to bishop b5 and taking and then putting the pawn on a3, and then suddenly well, white will need to defend that. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough because opposite colored bishops, but I'm wondering if, because the pawn is so advanced, if black could then maybe, push these pawns. I'm really not sure about that. That still might be a draw because white would only need either the king or the bishop to defend that outside passed pawn. So that, I don't know, that was what I was considering.
Yeah, you're right. The opposite color bishop endgames look rather equal. There are some tactics that need to be considered too. For example, knight takes e5 here. I'm not sure how this works out. Um, in general, you need to activate this king. Otherwise, white seems to be in time to stop that pawn, unfortunately. Well, fortunately for you.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I keep forgetting that you're white,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
So for black, I would suggest
Uh,
this then. um, okay. Well, I mean,
uh,
the most. I mean, the most.
a breakthrough. A breakthrough is another option here with the idea of g4, and then maybe you can activate your king this way. Um, of course, you have to be aware of the possibility that this pawn could be hanging, but I wonder if you
Well, that's
can prepare.
kind of what I was. I was thinking of. If we traded the bishop for the knight. Again, I know it's opposite colored bishop, so it's probably like 99% a draw. But that's why I was thinking of this, and then possibly, yeah, then possibly pushing these pawns, um, and then trying to get an
The
outside
problem
pass
is that,
pawn.
yeah, but he also has his own pass pawn, so he's probably going to create some counterplay with king d3 and king c4. So you're going to probably have to bring the king to the center to defend that also. So yeah, it looks most likely like a draw. Um, and here you need to make some inroads on the king side. Otherwise, this pawn, I mean, it's just not going to promote right away because white is in time to stop it. But it's a nice decoy. I mean, he always has to be on the lookout for your pawn not to advance and just promote. So uh, your king and your knight are kind of tied down to that pawn. So maybe even black can start uh, moving slowly towards the king side. Let's say you play, I don't know, king c2. Well, maybe he goes h3 so that g4 is not for free. um, well, probably you have to go g4 yourself so that uh, yeah, so that white doesn't play g4. Um, well, here you can take the pawn most likely. Um, then ideally I would defend this pawn and finally start bringing my king to the king side. It's not simple, but um, something like this should be the way, I guess, because it's not easy for white to reorganize his pieces without uh, seriously being exposed to the advance of this pawn. I'm not entirely sure this is winning or anything, but I think it's the only chance for black. Uh, the other idea is to bring the king to the queen side, though I'm not so clear how you can do that because this knight takes up so many squares. Um, so yeah, after he started pushing the pawn, you got to uh,
Well, I was also
block.
another thing that I was like that was a strong factor in this game was I'm down to 4 minutes here, and my point is 27. So I was pretty content with a draw.
Yeah, no, of course. Normally, it's the best you can get here because that pawn was so uh, well. It was something to worry about.
Yeah.
Uh, Now he can even get in trouble because he played really strange here. I mean, you can play king b5, bishop b3, c4, and start running with that pawn. So I'm not sure about what he's doing here. For example, h3 is not even necessary anymore because if he takes, you take back with the f pawn, and he doesn't have a look on your pawns. He's really exposing himself here because he's forgetting that you also have a passed pawn. I don't know if you're not winning here already. For example, let's say he goes. Where can he go now? E3, these seats you can go even king c6. Yeah, he really exposed himself here because your pawn is running real fast. Yeah, you were really down on time, so that's a big factor, of course. And he might be in time to stop your pawn. Well, of course, I'm sorry, he really had to take here first in the last move. Yeah, he can go back in time, but his play was really strange. Normally, you would just take your king to the center, stop this pawn, and make this a quick draw. King b5, bishop f8, king c6, bishop there. And now the game is a draw. Yeah. Yeah, probably it is because unfortunately you can't play king d7 and just keep this king away at the time you support your b pawn. But let's say,
What about king d5 and then push the c pawn?
yeah, after bishop a2 is
Yeah.
his.
Okay.
Say
Okay.
he plays the right move here. Goes.
King
I
c5.
guess he's in time. King d5.
Yeah, king d5. Sorry.
King d5.
King e8.
Yeah, he really put himself in a tough spot. Hey, you have a tactical idea of putting your pawn on c5 and then taking on f6, and it's yeah.
I always just kind of assume opposite colored bishops are just going to be a draw. I didn't even consider that there might be a chance to win.
He put himself in a very strange place. I guess this is still a draw. But there was no need to. Yeah, because even if he loses a pawn here, I guess he can just blockade. This is effective enough. It's funny because even if he lost this pawn, this is still a draw. He can set up a blockade on dark squares, and you
I
just can't advance.
just took a peek with the computer for the first time. It says that this is a win for white.
Here, this.
Well, no, before oh wait, where was it? Oh, maybe. Oh, maybe it was.
I think
no here. No. I mean, yeah, here. Yeah, here you can't play bishop f4.
Yeah, this move is horrible because we deprive ourselves of the blockade on dark squares. Yeah, king e7 is the move. Now we can stand still. We play this bishop on this diagonal eternally.
But we win the psychological war here, right? Because now it's black that was fighting for the draw, and white's got the extra pawn, and we look better over the board when everyone looks at the game.
At least we can claim that we were a pawn up when we met.
Yeah.
Very interesting game throughout. He totally chose the wrong strategy with the pair of bishops. Now, the right technique is highlighting the strength of the bishop you lack. He did the opposite. He just put all the pawns on the dark squares. So he gave you some opportunities to enhance your own bishop and maybe even set up a blockade on the light squares and make this dark square bishop look really bad. So yeah, that was your opponent's main problem there.
Yeah. So the two main themes that I came from the lesson of this game were, as you just said, if you're in the situation where you have the bishop pair and the opponent has one bishop, you want to both strengthen the bishop that the colors that you control, at the same time restricting your opponent's bishop color, and then the other and then the other
and that
yeah.
Yeah, and that's actually some you achieve both things by putting your pawns on the color of your opponent's bishop. Uh, because when you have this structure where a5 shouldn't be on a5, it should be on a6, and with all your pawns on light squares, that's it. That's on your opponent's bishop color. You restrict his minor pieces, this bishop especially, the knight also, and you enhance your own bishop because it's a dark square bishop, so it's
ah
uh,
ah
all the better when all your pawns are on the light square. So you achieve both things at the same time. But you have to remember that you have to put your pawns on the square of your opponent's bishop.
And
That's
and then the
the
other thing
rule.
that I came out of this game was, and I kind of knew this already, but it helps reinforce it in the Roy Lopez, and probably I would say some Philidor positions. You don't really want to take e takes d5 unless, as you say, you have a really good reason or follow up to do so, because I guess you're um, kind of wasting the fact of your positional advantage, where you have maybe a little bit more space and a little bit more control. And if you, I guess, if you take D takes E, you're kind of throwing all that away, and then black can kind of at least equalize quite easily. So you want to keep that
Yeah,
positional pressure and slowly make these Karpovian moves and slowly grind the position into a positional advantage.
yeah, that's true. Actually, this tension is important in the Ruy Lopez, and White's dream in the Ruy Lopez is that black takes on d4, so he gets to play c takes d, and gets his knight out to c3. That would be ideal. Of course, it never happens, but keeping the tension actually kind of restricts black's possibilities. So you always have this slight space advantage, and uh, that works in your favor. Yeah, when you take, as you say, you just relinquish that advantage, and uh, black is free to do as he pleases normally.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised that I did take there. I'm not sure what I was thinking, because normally I wouldn't take there. So
Wow.
yeah, not sure what I was doing there. I probably wasn't giving my opponent enough credit because he's 1800. So I probably got a little bit,
Oh,
complacent, not giving him enough respect. Yeah.
happens, yeah. It could have happened.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Alessandro. I've got there's a few tournaments, rated, like national rated tournaments coming up. There's one next week, but I'm not sure I'm going to enter it. And then there's a big one. I think I mentioned it to you before. I'm not sure. In August, it's a provincial tournament, and it's
It's going to be held finally.
um,
It's a novel tournament, or it's going to be only chess.
no, it's online. It's online.
Ah,
But it's
oh,
still
okay.
rated. Our national federation has two different ratings. We have an active rating. It's kind of like a rapid rating, and we have a classical rating. So the online tournaments, they won't affect
All
your
right.
they won't affect your classical rating, but they will affect the rapid rating. And then what they're doing is
That's a good idea.
they have an incentive, a rating incentive. If you manage to increase your rapid rating by 200 points, they will add that to your classical rating.
Oh,
Yeah, so they have that.
that's it.
Yeah, they have that incentive. So I've already played in about two or three of these tournaments, but there's one in August, which is the provincial tournament, and it's 8 rounds, which is cool. Um, it's
Long.
well, it's a 2 day tournament, but the time control is 25 plus 5, I think. But 8 rounds, it's cool. Because the longest I've played in is 6 rounds. Um, the
Yeah,
da-
that's the usual format nowadays. So 8 rounds, yeah, it's long.
Well, it makes sense to me. I mean, if you're playing in an online tournament, you should take advantage of that fact. Like, you don't have to rent a hotel room, you don't have to travel.
Yeah,
So that's cool. The downside is, I think it's just one section, and they'll have the trophies and prizes for uh, different classes, but it's one section, which I don't really like. Um,
it's only one. Yeah.
Yeah, because but it's 8 rounds, so um, that does help balance it out. But yeah, I'm probably going to play in that one because it's I really want to play an 8 round tournament. Just sounds really interesting to me. Um, and also just one
Yeah,
last
it's attractive.
there was one last piece of news to tell you. There was a tournament a few days ago, 3 or 4 days ago, that I didn't play in, and there were two kids in the tournament. They got caught and banned for cheating. Yeah, so
Uh,
it was on Lichess, and they both got flagged for cheating, and it was so stupid because their national rating is like 1300, and they like one of them got in second place in the tournament, and he won 4 out of 5 games, and he beat like a 2100 player, 2200 rated player, and he only had one inaccuracy. Yeah. Anyways,
yeah,
the downside is I actually played that kid in the last tournament online I played, and he beat me. That was one of the games where I was winning, and then at the very end he had um, some
now you know
tactical.
what happened.
Yeah. So and I don't get the rating back for that, so I'm a little angry about that. I'm hoping that the federation is going to ban him. At least for some time. Like there has to be some type of penalty, um, because I don't
We
otherwise.
had some cases too here. Yeah, we had some cases. Unfortunately, we even have a suspect who is an international master.
Oh,
He wasn't caught cheating, but well, he has some. He already had an account on chess.com banned.
ooh,
Then the organizers of the tournament, of the online tournament, that he ended up being second, and it was a big tournament. Um, the arbiters asked him to turn on the webcam, and the problem was that he was always looking to the side. He was looking to
oh.
the side all the time.
but but
So well,
but chess players do that, right? They if you're thinking in the head, but
yeah, but yeah,
okay.
it,
You know what?
of course, it's
But
not
you
like
know what?
conclusive proof.
I've heard that on chess.com. I've read this. I don't know. I believe in some of their tournaments they actually, in addition to the webcam monitoring, they actually have software on your computer that they actually monitor your desktop, so that they.
Yeah, the arbiters actually asked this player to show them their his desktop all the time. That was one of the requirements.
Yeah.
Well, he did.
Oh,
Of course, there's no conclusive proof, but
mm,
the problem of cheating is just out there. I mean, many players were just caught and banned in many tournaments in which I played also.
mm.
Um, yeah, it's a problem. Online, it's just always going to be there, and the tournaments are so massive. I see tournaments with 1,000 players. Uh, um, Someone is going to be cheating there. It's the most likely, but yeah, as
Uh,
long as it doesn't ruin the experience.
yeah, but didn't you say he got? Yeah, I don't get that because like chess.com, you said that he got banned before, right? On chess.com. this.
Yeah.
And then I wonder,
The,
they let him play again, because I think sometimes they have this weird policy of
oh,
if you admit to cheating, they let you play again, right?
oh, I didn't know that. That's strange.
It's strange, because what's the point of
Now I
that?
see him playing on Lichess,
Oh, gee.
not on chess.com. But I'm not sure he cheated or anything
Mm-mm.
like it. But
Mm-mm.
we had a great. What I wanted to say is that we had this great controversy, and everyone is talking about this right now because he's a very strong player. I know him. I have
Mm-mm.
played him all over
Mm-mm.
the board, and he is a strong player. So
Mm-mm.
that was a huge topic here.
Mm-mm.
um,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and the thing too is like you can never, if someone really wants to cheat, you actually can't really stop cheating. Like there's so many ways for people to cheat, even if you got the webcam and you have the software on the computer. Like they could have like their phone like lower down, or or even
yeah, it's,
they could have somebody behind the monitor that is like signaling or whatever. If someone wants to cheat, they can really cheat. Um, but it's kind of a shame. I mean, we don't. It's there's no, I guess, proof, 100% proof that that guy cheated. But it's a real shame when you see titled players cheating, especially, right? Because they're risking like
yeah,
their whole life of chess playing, um, to win some
yeah,
possible prize money.
it, it doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Because to me, it
yeah,
makes more sense for like some some really low rated player to do it than a titled player. Because the title player has so much to risk. Um,
yeah, exactly. The
yeah.
title is on the line. I mean, it's not like you're going to lose the title, maybe, but uh, why why would you just risk your prestige and
Yeah, and
and everything?
mhm,
Uh, I really don't get it.
yeah.
But it happens. It happens. It's happened before. Chess.com has banned. I saw that. I don't remember who it was. I think it's John Bartholomew that it's one of chess.com uh, head anti-cheating. Uh, it's an international master. I don't remember who it was, but he gave an interview and he said that they got so many title
Oh no,
players.
I don't think that was John Bartholomew. I think that was Danny Wrench.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's Rance.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why we
Yeah,
got
no,
them
it's
mixed
crazy.
up.
They have chess.com has a monthly chess.com report, and they've got hundreds, if not, yeah, they've caught hundreds of title players cheating, and like
It,
they've banned hundreds, and I think
yeah, it's impressive. Come on, how is it possible that they, but they are
oh,
apparently they are cheating.
that's that's ridiculous. Yeah, it just seems like such a waste. I
Yeah,
mean, like how much time of your life do you spend studying chess just to throw it away? Um,
yeah. To put a software make the moves for you. I mean, wow.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways, yeah, I'll let you go. I know it's
yeah.
really late there. But thank you again, and I'll try to get some more lessons again soon.
Okay.
Okay, thank
Thanks,
you.
Tyler.
Bye.
See you. Bye.